I was rather looking forward to Whispers and Elephant's Tail. I hadn't heard of this, but this is a Disney film from 2000. It's directed by Derek Joubert, written by Joubert, Jordan Moffet, and Holly Golden Sloan. And we have an amazing voice cast, including Joanna Lumley, Debi Derryberry, Kevin Michael Richardson, Betty White, Joan Rivers, John DiMaggio. Obviously fabulous voice cast. And I say voice cast because it's live action, but the characters are all animals, primarily elephants. And I kind of thought this feels like it could be very much like the classic Disney animal documentaries from the 50s, directed largely by James Algar and narrated by Winston Heibler. These are not narrated, obviously, but it does, in a way, have a kind of similar feel. So if you like those documentaries, you might like this. But I will say, that's kind of both a pro and a con, and I will expand on that. This is about a baby elephant who is separated from his mother, and another elephant and some other animals have to help him find his way back to his mother. It's a sweet story. However, very much like the documentaries, the narrative is very weak. If you haven't seen the Disney documentaries, it's basically a wildlife documentary, but some of them were given a bit of a story. They created a narrative for the characters, but it's not necessarily the strongest story. It's just basically giving a bit of imagination to the footage that we're seeing. And this is maybe fleshed out a little bit more than that, but it's still not the strongest narrative. So that's just worth bearing in mind, that if you're looking for a really compelling story, it's a little weak. But it's very, very sweet. The characters are adorable. And what I found quite interesting, I didn't do a tremendous amount of reading about this, but I did read a little bit on Wikipedia. And according to Wikipedia, it said that it was filmed in Botswana over an 18-month period, and only Whispers and Groove, the two elephants, were actually trained elephants. All of the other elephants were just filmed in the wild, going about their business, which I think is kind of cool, which again makes it seem like a Disney, one of the documentaries from the 50s, which I love. They're so fun, they're so beautiful, really, really well done, and definitely worth checking out. So I'd say it's kind of like a slightly more polished version of one of them. I feel like they obviously made a bit more effort to make a stronger narrative. I guess the way of looking at it, and this is purely speculation, but I feel like with the 50s documentaries, they took the footage and then created a narrative after the fact. Whereas with this one, I imagine they had the narrative and then went and shot the footage to go with it. So I think that's probably what happened. I could be wrong, but that's certainly what it feels like. So it's not the strongest story, but it does work well enough. The animals, the elephants, they're just, I'm not somebody who loves elephants. I don't look at them and think they're adorable. But in this one, I have to say they looked pretty fabulous. The voice acting is great. The footage is beautifully shot. Absolutely no problems there. I think the thing that's just maybe not the best is the narratives, maybe not the strongest. But then to learn that most of the animals were actually shot just doing their thing in the wild kind of makes that okay, because they weren't just training hundreds of elephants and forcing them into a specific narrative and forcing them to do things to fit the story. So I think that's kind of cool. So it's not the strongest film, but at the same time, it's a decent story. The voice acting's good, the voice cast is brilliant, the footage is really lovely as well. And if it sounds like something that might appeal to you, then sure, I'd say it's one that's probably worth watching.